The moon is the only celestial body that we have visited besides Earth and has been a source of fascination for humans since the beginning of time. In this video, we will explore some interesting facts about the moon that you may not know. 1. The moon is not round, it actually looks more like an ellipse or a curved football than a perfect sphere. This is one of the reasons it can appear to change shape over the course of its orbit around Earth. 2. The moon is actually getting further away from Earth all the time. As it orbits our planet, its gravitational pull causes it to gradually drift away at an average rate of 3.7 centimeters per year. Scientists believe that in roughly 1 billion years, the moon will be so far away from Earth that it will become too small to see. 3. The first human steps on the moon were in fact taken by a woman. Soviet cosmonaut and engineer Valentina Tereshkova was the first person to step foot on the surface of our nearest celestial neighbor, although her mission lasted just under 3 days. It wasn't until nearly 20 years later that Neil Armstrong became the first man to walk on the moon. 4. The moon is actually much smaller than you might think. At just over 2,000 miles across, the moon is roughly 1/4 of the size of Earth. Considering how close it seems when we look up at night, this can be quite surprising. 5. The moon does not have its own atmosphere. It is actually the Earth's atmosphere that we see surrounding the moon when it rises over the horizon, before eventually disappearing as the moon continues on its orbit around our planet. 6. The moon has no seasons, although it sometimes appears to change shape and shift phases throughout the year. This is because of our changing position relative to it rather than any changes in its own orbit or rotation period. In fact, if you were standing on the surface of the moon at any time throughout its journey around Earth, you would experience a full day every 28 days. 7. The dark side of the moon really is dark. Contrary to popular belief, there are no permanent lights on the dark side of the moon, and it is always completely covered in shadow. In fact, most people on Earth can't even see the other side of our neighbor at all. 8. The moon used to spin much faster than it does today. During its early formation, the moon rotated on its axis once every 8 hours. However, as we know from watching videos of astronauts' footprints slowly fading into view on the lunar surface, there is no weather or wind on the moon, which means that this pace has remained unchanged for millions of years. 9. Some scientists believe that life may have originated on the moon before eventually migrating to Earth. It's possible that primitive bacteria could have survived inside meteorites that were brought here from the moon's surface during its early formation. While this theory is still being debated, it does provide an interesting explanation for how life may have first begun on Earth. 10. The moon plays a surprisingly important role in maintaining our environment. Without the gravity of our nearest celestial neighbor to constantly tug on the Earth's oceans and atmosphere, our climate would be far less hospitable than it is today. This means that we are actually as dependent upon the moon as we are on the sun. In conclusion, there are many fascinating facts about the moon that most people don't know about, but which all contribute to making it such a unique and special part of our universe. So if you've ever looked up at night and wondered what it would be like to explore the surface of our nearest celestial neighbor, now you know.